We are back with another episode of After the Whistle. I don't know what date it is. I keep losing track of
the 9th, man. My birthday was yesterday.
Yeah, his birthday was yesterday. There's a lot going on for his birthday.
Big 3-5.
Yeah, you know, that's life. Some people don't leave at C18, so we're here in this crazy year. It's a wild year. It's wild.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
this year is wild.
Yeah, it's getting crazier by the day.
It's getting crazier, and Lynn, you know, jeez Louise.
Lynn was on the news last night.
Yeah.
Doing some things.
There was... Yeah, it was there. Woo-wee. All right, we'll talk all about all that later. We got so much to talk about. But first, we're gonna get right into it. It's coming down the last few weeks in the NFL season. Teams are positioning themselves for the postseason. Some teams are positioning themselves for the opportunity to get in the postseason, like our New England Patriots, who just smack it down on the San Diego Chargers. They just, man, this was a complete game by the Pats.
Yeah, nobody saw this coming in a million years. You wouldn't thought the Pats would have shut out the Chargers. We expected them to beat them. Definitely expected that to happen. Yeah. We feel like somebody's been watching the show. Somebody's been keeping an eye on us because, as you see, they've been rushing the ball. They've been putting it down the ground. What was it 43 rushes for 165? Granted, only 3.88 yards, but when you're getting down the field that rapidly, and Cam is consistently not turning over the ball with only 19 attempts, whatever, you can't really go wrong with that.
If you told somebody that Cam Newton only threw for 69 yards and threw one touchdown, you would have thought they lost the game, but they did it. Defense got a touchdown with a blocked. It was a blocked field goal. Special teams got a touchdown with the punt return, and the New England rushing attack just came to life. This was Cam Newton. Cam Newton looked like 2010 Cam Newton, 2011 Cam Newton, just, you know, downhill power running is what the Patriots did. And the only shocker is how they just completely shut out the explosive offense of the Chargers, because Justin Herbert coming in this game, he was lighting people up.
And that's what I was, oh my bad, and that's what I was actually going to speak on. I felt like we stuck to our game plan, and the Chargers need to kind of reinvent theirs a little bit as well, because you have Herbert coming in there, throwing the ball 53 times. He's bound to have some turnovers, and that was kind of like the key to the game as well. When you have 2 turnovers from your quarterback, but let alone this team's running all over you.
That's back-to-back. So the last 2 games, that's 105 pass attempts. 52 attempts against the Bills and 53 against the Pats. That is not going to win you a lot of games. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, we are in the age and era of the NFL where it's a lot easier to pass the ball. And there's more emphasis on passing the ball, but you just can't be chucking that thing up in the air like that, especially with some team, with a defensive-minded coach like Belichick who's going to take away what you want to do best, and that's take the deep ball away, and they did not have any deep balls.
This is true.
It's good for the Patriots. They positioned themselves to 6-6. They got a Thursday night matchup with the Rams, but just overall, the fact that this team is 6-6 is just, you know, it's mind-boggling that they're 6-6 despite everything that's gone on with them and the lack of talent and explosive plays that they've had this year. So, hey, man, when y'all talk about Coach of the Year candidates, you better have Belichick in that top 3 because, yeah, I'm utterly surprised these guys won 6 games.
I mean, we should have won a couple more.
You are correct.
Just because of how we've been losing. We haven't been getting blown out, so, you know.
Yeah, they've been in every game except one.
Yeah, so to be on the optimistic side, I am happy that we won 6 games. And Belichick should get some recognition for, you know, his coaching techniques because... yeah, we don't have much talent to just be going out there and get dubs on our own. So.
All right, Thursday, Patriots, Rams, tough matchup for them, but you know, they've been clicking, kind of clicking. So hopefully they get it together. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles finally made the change. They finally made the switch. There was some good, and then there was some, good luck to Jalen Hurts, because first you're coming in. They name you the starter, and your first game is against a top 10 defense that just has been wreaking havoc on quarterbacks. And then you got an issue. They still haven't solved the issue with the offensive line. But I guess Doug Peterson fell to the pressure and heard all the noise, and they just made the change. But, good luck.
I probably would have I don't think I would have started him that game. I probably would have brought him in the second half. Mid third quarter, into the fourth, just to give him some reps. But honestly, if I'm him, I'm like, I didn't play that bad. Playing that, I only had one into, and if I'm a rookie playing against the Packers, my first start game, my whole aspect is not that many intos. I do not want to have that many intos, so that's that. And honestly, I have one and not really play that bad. I'm not mad at that. But the Packers themselves, they're clicking on all cylinders. Their big three was killing, and I'll let you elaborate on that.
Yeah, he's mad. Jeez Louise, I think we're heading towards a co-MVP season between Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. But Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, too, these guys are just... I don't know what you're going to do with this offense. Well... I know what you can do with this offense. You got to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. That's number one. Because if you watch that game, he just had all the time in the world to survey the field. So if you're not getting pressure on him, good luck, because he's going to find somebody open. That's just a fact. And when he doesn't find someone open, just hand the ball off to Aaron Jones, who has been having a great season. So,
yeah, man. Are you fantasy guys? I told you guys about Aaron Jones. Should have grabbed him.
Yeah, they should have. And for the Eagles, they still got some. They still have some issues. Even when Jalen Hurts got in there, receivers are still dropping passes. Offensive line still can't block. So the only thing Hurts has over Wentz is the athletics. He's a little bit more elusive, and he can get out the pocket more easier than Hurts.
And less expectations.
Yeah, less expectations.
So hopefully he's allowed to fail a little bit before they jump on his back.
Well, what's that saying in the Dark Knight? Do you live long enough to become the villain?
Is that something this is that? True.
So, but good luck to Jalen Hurts, because this a reporter for somebody who covers the Eagles put it best. So the Eagles gave Carson Wentz a 4-year, $128 million contract, biggest signing, the biggest guaranteed money for a quarterback at that time, and they did nothing else to improve their roster. You just gave him the money, and you're just like, okay, y'all quarterback, we'll figure this out at some point, and it's a terrible job figuring it out.
Well, that's what kind of makes the Eagles the Eagles.
Yeah.
The franchise itself, you know what I mean? Not the players, just the whole franchise itself. So.
Yeah, that's what they get too. Because after that Super Bowl, they got really full of themselves and started talking nonsense, and it's been downhill ever since then. So
because they honestly thought they were a good franchise.
Yeah. Ha ha! All right. The Browns, they put a whooping on the Titans, and the NFL should be scared of the Browns. I'm joking, but the Browns, it's like the Titans, the Browns knew they had a game, and the Titans didn't know that they had a game. That's what it seemed like in the first half, because the Browns were doing whatever they wanted.
I feel like the Titans have like a semi-Super Bowl hangover, because they come to compete against most teams, but teams I feel they should beat, they just don't really come to play. And the Browns, my bad, I should have voted for y'all. I've been rocking with y'all the past year or two, so I should have had my faith. But I got some faith in the Titans, and I shouldn't have.
Yeah, look at what the Browns defense did to Derrick Henry. 60 yards, and we all know the Titans go as Derrick Henry goes, but the Browns go as Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt goes, and those two guys combine about 113 yards between them. So they got a nice good 1-2 combination. And what does that do for Baker Mayfield? Play action. And guys running up the field wide open. They were wide open.
Now, how many wins is that without Odell? Because remember how they were saying they're a bad team without him? And they're like on a winning streak, aren't they?
Let me bring this up. They're like on a 4 or 5 game winning streak. Well, this thing was low, but yeah, they got a winning streak going on right now with them. They've won 4 in a row. They won their past 4 games. Their last loss was against the Raiders.
Okay.
But yeah, they were struggling offensively. Their defense was getting them through those games, but this was the first game where their offense and defense just dominated the whole game. I mean, it came close in the second half, but
I was just saying, I don't personally feel that way, but I'm just saying certain critics feel that way. Maybe it's because he causes so much attention. It's easy to key on him, and you take less attention from your actual primary offensive guys compared to when he's out. Everybody gets the ball.
The only thing about that is just like a receiver can't throw the ball to himself. So if you can't figure out how to get the ball to an all all-world all-talent player like Odell, that's not Odell's fault. You got to look at yourself in the mirror, because I know every quarterback that had Randy Moss, they knew how to get the ball to him. No matter what. So, I mean, kudos to the Browns, though. They're 9-3. They're playing really well right now. And, you know, they I don't know how they're going to feel, but they got a good matchup coming up against the Ravens Monday night, so they'll be tested some more.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, the Ravens got a victory last night. But, yeah, that AFC North really tough competition right now. Now, let's go to some dumb football, and that is the New York Jets. I know you saw all the replays of what happened at the end of the game. I didn't know what happened at the end of the game, because last I saw, the Raiders were down and there was like 30 seconds left. And the next thing I know, when I came back from where I was, I turned the TV on and I saw the Raiders won, and I'm trying to figure out how they won. And I saw it, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I was half watching it myself. Yeah, you didn't expect that to happen. You know, kudos Raiders, woo woo. But shame on the Jets. All you had to do was be in prevent. You didn't even have to rush anybody. Just simple football. Make them make even more outrageous play than they already had to make. But
it's their defense. The defensive coordinator got fired. He got fired for that because that's all he does. That's his style. He all out blitzes whenever, however, no matter the time or situation of the game. And I just find it interesting that the Jets are firing everyone else except the head coach.
Yeah, man, for one, just let that man rock out. You guys are already trash. You know what I mean? Let him collect these couple checks for the next couple of weeks, and then you clear house in the off-season, because as it's seen, nobody really deserves to be there.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing about it, they have talent.
Yeah, on the field.
They got talent.
The people off the field don't deserve to be there, and that's the issue.
Yeah, because coaching, this is when coaching matters, especially when you have a whole bunch of young talent on the team. It's kind of embarrassing. But that defender falling for a double move, too. Like, dude, what are you doing? You know, they need a touchdown. Like, why are you even near him? Just stand at the goal line. This is what they teach you.
All I can say is sometimes the lights are too bright for certain people in certain moments, and they do uncharacteristic things that you wouldn't usually do. You know what I mean? So it just happens. You know, had a brain fart, I guess.
This is why it falls on the head coach, because these are young players. You can't expect young players to, young players have a certain mindset. You got to let them know, dude. We're playing prevent defense, but you want to all out blitz, and that was just a terrible loss for the Jets. Well, I mean, they've been losing all season, but it could have been a terrible loss for the Raiders. But they kept their playoff hopes alive. They're still in the race of the postseason. So good win for the Raiders. Jets, on the other hand, they're tanking for Trevor, but I don't know if Trevor he's going to want to play for them, because I don't know what they're going to do with Sam Darnold. There's a whole lot of question marks with certain players on the Jets.
Has Sam Darnold been healthy enough to even reach his potential?
No.
And been there long enough? So
what's he, year 4? This is like year 4?
Oh, year 4.
I think this is year 3 or year 4.
Oh, if it's year 4 or 5, I don't know what to tell him. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I really couldn't tell you then.
His biggest problem is he can't stay on the field. In the NFL, when you can't stay on the field, you will get replaced.
You will.
The New Orleans Saints, they've clinched the playoff berth, and the Saints are 8-0 with backup quarterbacks the past 2 seasons. Last year with Teddy, now this year. Well, I don't even call this dude a quarterback. But with the gadget player back there. But does that say more about the system or the players? Because this looks like the system.
Yeah, I would say the system. I would say the system, partially because I'm sure they're not getting the type of yards that Drew Brees was getting.
Yeah.
So I want to say the system might. Give them enough to win. Yeah. But Breeze we're giving them enough to have records and all that cool stuff.
Yeah, and what also helps is they've kind of been playing sorry teams, so their defense could just. They know their defense is gonna make plays, but their offense, all they need is get a couple points here and there, and they'll be good to go. Like if you look, you would think Taysom Hill was out there wheeling and dealing, but it was more more so the yards after the catch by the receivers. I mean, Michael Thomas, he became the youngest player to 500 receptions, I believe, in this game. And then, once again, you look at Alvin Kamara, 15 receptions, 88 yards. And I mean, not 15 carries, 88 yards, and 1 touchdown. So they're using their running game to kind of not put everything on on Taysom Hill's shoulders. But
this is like the one of the better teams in the NFL I haven't really paid much attention to.
yeah, because because they've given you reason not to. Because you've seen the past 3 seasons, they've had these great regular seasons, and then come playoff time, it's just
And they were playing the Falcons, so like I don't think anyone in their right mind thought they were losing to them.
Yeah.
So like,
man, the Falcons are just sorry. We'll go on to the next subject before we talk about the Celtics. These guys, like, 'cause, they're bad. And one of the biggest upsets over the weekend was the Giants over the Seahawks, which I didn't see this coming. I didn't know Colt McCoy was playing in the game. I didn't know Colt McCoy was still in the league. And the Seahawks, they just laid a flat out egg.
Yeah, they did, because like I said before the show happened, I haven't seen any highlights of this game at all. We definitely didn't know Colt McCoy was playing. I was happy for Colt. All he had to do was just keep the team afloat.
Yeah.
Try not to turn over the ball as much. We knew, you know Colt's gonna give you one as a backup, first game playing in a long time.
Yeah, definitely.
But hey, kudos to them. They had a decent running game too. You know what I mean? They're kind of well balanced.
And you gotta give it up to the Giants defense. Actually, their front four is playing like the Giants teams that got those 2 lucky Super Bowls. I said 2 lucky Super Bowls. Their front four, they're playing. They're really getting after these quarterbacks, and they're not using no blitz or nothing. It's just their defensive line just dominating games. And Seattle's always had this problem with protecting Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson also, he still has this issue of holding on to the ball too long.
And they have an issue with, they're taking a step back in regards to they're having him throw the ball 43 times. He doesn't need to throw the ball 40 times. He has good enough running backs that.
And he got his running backs. He got both of them back too.
So he has enough tools back there that he doesn't have to throw the ball that much.
Yeah, and it's not like this game was out of reach for them to not consistently run the ball throughout, unless they were just, the run game was just not working and they just gave up on it. But I don't think you should ever give up on the run game, because when you have good to decent running backs, they'll break one. Eventually they'll break one, and just for them to have 22 carries and Chris Carson 13 carries, like you need more than that.
And it also just wears down the defense as well, especially if they get consistent first downs.
Yeah,
keeps them on the field. You keep hitting them, then all of a sudden you throw a pass, touchdown.
It's a wrap.
You're surprised.
Yeah, it's a wrap. So the Giants are 5-7. They are tied for first place in the NFC East with the team that ended the Pittsburgh Steelers winning streak, the team from Washington. And I watched this game, and Washington's defense is legit. Their offense is, but their defense is legit. Chase Young and that defensive line, those guys are putting the pain. They were down 14-0, and if this was last year, they'd probably call it a day. And they're like, all right, we're not coming back, so we'll just call it a day. But you see these guys, Alex Smith leading them down the field and the defense just made plays at the end with the big interception and some key turnovers. Washington is like, okay, these guys, woo.
Yeah, they have a lot to work on, but they definitely put their foot down on the Steelers.
Yeah.
I don't think the Steelers kind of took them seriously. I feel like when you're undefeated, you think however we're playing, it's going to consistently beat every team, and they had to kick it up a notch, and it didn't happen. So,
and also with the Steelers, that they just refused to run the ball for some reason. They just refused to run the ball. They just kept throwing and throwing and throwing. Like, you only get 3 points in the second half. You score 14 points in the first quarter, but there was 2 shutout quarters in that. And when you had the 14-0 lead, a 14-10 lead, you could have continued. You could have run the ball to run some clock, or just try to wear down that defense, because you kept constantly getting 3 and outs, and the team Washington have these drives, and gives their defense rest time.
One weird thing I noticed about certain teams in the NFL is when their QB's having a great season, they tend to shy away from the actual guys that actually help that QB become great.
Yeah.
And they start having the quarterback do more work than he has been doing.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening with this guy as well.
And granted, their starting running back was out. James Conner, he was out this game, but they got Benny Snell and they got McFarland. They could have, giving those guys more opportunities, but it just wasn't happening. And Big Ben's 38. Once you reach in that back end of 30, I don't think you want to be throwing the ball that many times, especially out there in Pittsburgh. So, man, the NFC East, it looks like it's a 2-team race. The Eagles still have a chance, but right now it's first team to 7 wins this division. So it's let's see if the Giants and these guys have a matchup. No, they don't.
They don't.
No, they do not.
All right.
I think they split their regular season matchup. Whatever. No, they actually lost to the Giants twice. So the Giants are. So these guys, they gotta finish 9-7 and hope the Giants lose at some point.
Who has to finish 9-7?
Washington.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're. So they finished the season at 49ers versus Seahawks versus the Panthers and at Philly. So we'll see what happens there. Sports update with Mia Lynn.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's segment of New England Sports Scores and Updates. I'm Mia Lynn and today I'll be breaking down the latest in the sports world over the last week. To start off, the Boston College Eagles wrapped up their season with a loss to the Virginia Cavaliers in a tight battle. The final score was 32-43. With Phil Dracovic out with an injury, Dennis Grosel stepped in with a historical performance as quarterback, tying BC legend Doug Flutie for the most passing yards in a single game with 520. On the receiving end, Zay Flowers had 8 catches for 2 touchdowns and 180 yards, while Hunter Long received for 109 yards. This game put Flowers at a tie for second place in BC history with 9 touchdowns in a single season. The Stars wide receiver is now only 1 touchdown away from that record. Overall, this marked the 5th loss for the Eagles this season, leaving them with an overall record of 6-5 and a conference record of 5-5 as they finished in 6th place in the ACC. In other BC news, the men's basketball team fell to the undefeated Minnesota Golden Gophers Tuesday night in an overtime thriller that ended in a final score of 80-85. Redshirt junior Mekhi Ashton Langford sent the game to overtime with a layup with 5.4 seconds left to go in regulation. But unfortunately, the Eagles got outscored 15-10 in overtime to send them home with that loss. The team had strong performances from Winston Tabbs and Jay Heath, who had 24 and 16 points respectively. Also playing well for BC was CJ Felder, who nearly notched a double-double with 9 points and 11 rebounds. The team now sits with a record of 1-4 as they prepare to take on the Syracuse Orange in an ACC matchup this Saturday. Lastly, believe it or not, the NBA is back already. The Boston Celtics will have 2 preseason games before the NBA regular season begins on December 22nd. The Celtics will take on the Philadelphia 76ers next Tuesday and the Brooklyn Nets next Friday in their preseason matchups. These games will likely be the debut for the Celtics' newest roster additions, Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague, along with their number 14 draft pick, Aaron Nesmith. Make sure to tune in next Tuesday at 7 p.m. to see this new Celtics roster hit the hardwood. That's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next week for another segment of New England Sports Scores and Updates. Now back to After the Whistle.
And we are back. Thank you, Mia, for that. Some NBA news. Russell Westbrook traded to the Washington Wizards for John Wall in the first-round pick. Everything always happens after the show ends. This trade had literally happened a couple hours after the show ended. And to me, it was just like they're trading for the exact same player. The only difference is Russell Westbrook's a little bit of a better shooter than John Wall, but at the end of the day, they're trading for the same type of player. And I don't know how this is going to work because you got another situation where James Harden's like acting a fool.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how the offseason plays out, even though it's almost done. I don't know what they're going to do with James Harden. He definitely looks like he's unhappy out there. Just get him in what he asked for, or at least get a decent trade option for him. You just talking Westbrook. I mean, Westbrook, for one, he looks happy. Where he's at, just trying to get away from that whole new situation.
Yeah.
John Wall, I don't really see
we haven't seen the dude play in 2 years.
I've been watching him online though. He's been on YouTube playing some pickup. He's been looking better, but you don't really know how he's gonna play it. You know what I mean, in the NBA. But I think he'll be fine though. I think him and Harden could be kind of like Westbrook and Beal, because Harden can shoot the ball. Harden can be efficient. We forget, a lot of people forget that Harden wasn't sit dribble for 20 seconds guy his whole career. When he first got to Houston, they were talking about, oh, he's one of the better playmakers in the NBA because he was damn near averaging a triple-double and getting double-double. So he can play off the ball with no problem. It's just if he wants to.
Yeah, but we'll see how this works because right now he's just, apparently he is in Houston. He came, so he hasn't. I don't know if he's met with the team or with the organization or not, but right now there's rumors that he's interested in, he's open to a trade to the Sixers and him and Joel Embiid teaming up. So, there's a lot happening. And the NBA preseason starts this week. So the Celtics got their first preseason game this Friday. And there's a lot happening with that team too. Kemba Walker, he's not going to be playing for a while. Knee injury. So, and then we got the headache that is Kyrie Irving, who has decided that he's not going to speak to media, even though all these media interviews with players are being done via Zoom. So Kyrie's just writing statements because he doesn't want his words to be misconstrued. But Kyrie is the one that says things, and people go off of the things he said. It's not like they make things up. It's like, dude, you said anybody could be the coach of this team. You said we need more veterans on this team or more pieces on the team. He's just said a lot of stuff that had people like, what are you talking about? And he gets upset when he gets criticized for that. So he figured this is the best way to deal with the media, with just putting out statements instead of doing interviews. Like,
we live in this weird world where you can do stuff like this instead of just somebody just saying, man, just suck it up and deal with it. Like, it's just like, that's part of getting paid buku's amount of money. So I don't know what the deal is, what the problem is. If you're not that talkative, just you don't have to, written statements in the Zoom era, whatever. If you want to just post it up while you're on Zoom or whatever. But you kind of get paid for people to see you. Yeah. That's kind of like the deal with that as well. So, you can give them one-word answers. You can give them one-sentence answers. You don't have to make it so you have to just make it hard for everybody to do their job. As
the person that we're going to interview, that I spoke with in the Plus One interview, he's like, well, he's glad it's Brooklyn's problem and no longer Boston's problem because he doesn't want to have to be up all night transcribing Kyrie Irving interviews because that was a headache in itself. All right. Plus one interview with my guy Josue from Heavy.com. He covers the Boston Celtics, so we talked about the upcoming season and what to expect from this team. So check out the Plus One interview. We're gonna come back, wrap up the show. Welcome to another edition of the Plus One interview, and we got a returning guest, friend of the show, Mr. Josue Pavon, and we here. Man, it's already here. Celtics basketball.
Let's do it. 2 for 1, Mukala. We get a 2 for 1. This is it. Quick turnaround.
Man, I can't even put it in my mind that the season's about to start in a couple weeks. And they're about to play their first game Friday. So, lot happening with this team the past couple weeks. There's been a lot going on with this team. But first, just talk to me about overall, just talk about their offseason, your assessment of their offseason.
Man, that's like a loaded question at this point, right? Like, where do you begin? Because like a week and a half ago, it's all about Gordon Hayward, right? What's he going to do? What can the Celtics get from him if he wasn't going to stay? We all saw how that played out. Trade exception. Danny has a year to use it. And what's unique about that is that, of course, that goes into next off season as well. So he may end up holding on to that, or at least holding on to a portion of that trade exception. So that was the talk around. But then the Kemba news drops, right? The Kemba bomb. And this isn't good. This spells danger for the Celtics. Celtics fans out there. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but this is facts. I mean, don't kid yourself here. Kemba Walker is a humongous loss to this team for obvious reasons. All-star point guard. Gives you so much on the offensive end that you were an offensive on the low. You were an offensive juggernaut last year. And the reason why I say on the low is because statistically, you were the second best scoring offense in the East. But overall in the NBA, you were barely top 10. So I think that speaks volumes for, of course, the way things are in the NBA, the way they stand. But what also speaks volumes as to what the way things stand in the Eastern Conference is that a lot of these players are coming over to the East, okay? Teams are getting better in the Eastern Conference. And if you ask me, the Celtics didn't get better this offseason. Sure, you addressed a couple of concerns. One, of course, the front court, Tristan Thompson. I applaud Danny on that one. I think that's a huge addition. It's going to bring a lot to the locker room for this young team. This is the kind of player that they certainly need. And, of course, Jeff Teague. I think Jeff Teague is an underrated signing. I mean, right now it's easy to say that because we're talking about a team starting without Kemba Walker. But overall, this guy is just instant offense, someone that's going to give you point production off the bench. I thought that was a humongous void last season, especially throughout the postseason. But now Teague might be a starter. I mean, we don't know. We don't know how Brad Stevens is going to play this thing out. But I think heading into the season without Kemba Walker, it's a concern. But you still have two all-stars in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I'm going to label him an all-star heading into this one. I'll just give it to him, right? Or at least that's what's to be expected, right, this upcoming season for Jaylen. So you still have those two guys, and in my opinion, they're both still ascending. I don't think they hit their ceiling. So you have that going for you. But Kemba Walker and, of course, Gordon Hayward, that production, that's a big loss on both ends.
Has Kemba even been healthy since he got here? I feel like we're having another Kyrie Irving just minus.
Man, and he was an Iron Man before Boston, right? Like, that's the worst part about this whole thing.
Yeah, so it really seems like a Kyrie Irving 2.0, but just without the antics with Kemba Walker. Because Kyrie got here, he was hurt all the time. Even his last season here, there was so many games he missed because of injuries. So now you're dealing with this. There's the front court issues. There's the 3-point issues. There's so many concerns on the offensive side of the ball. My biggest concern was they drafted the young player out of Vanderbilt for shooting purposes, but they didn't add no veteran knockdown shooters, and that is a big problem in this league. If you don't have anybody that can consistently knock down 3-point shots, you're not going anywhere. And we saw that in the Eastern Conference Finals. And it's going to be another issue this season.
Yeah, the Miami Heat are back. And they're motivated, right? So
they got better. They got way better.
They got way better. They're going to be on their game. I mean, we talked about it last week. I mean, top 5, maybe. I mean, Celtics could be outside that top 5 realistically if they're not, without Kemba Walker for the next couple of months. But yeah, man, I'm with you. That's a point of emphasis I would have loved to see the Celtics address. But they're hoping that Nesmith is that guy. I mean, they're hoping that he'll develop into one. We're not sure, or at least in my opinion, I don't think he's quite ready to jump in there, without any summer league, without the sort of offseason that rookies are accustomed to. I mean, that's out the window. So it's going to take him some time. But the Celtics are hopeful. They're hopeful that he will develop into one of those knockdown shooters that you're alluding to. And look, offensively, again, I mean, this team can't wait for Kemba Walker to come back. They have to figure this thing out. So they have to look at their options. And I talk about Tatum, I talk about Jaylen, from the top. But Marcus Smart is a very important piece as well. That third piece, in my opinion, could really determine how far this Band-Aid, can last for the Celtics, right? Because offensively, he's going to be a bigger role for this offense. Look. Say what you want about what Marcus Smart is as a shooter. He's streaky. But one thing that I love about Marcus Smart's offense, or shooting in particular, is his catch and shoot. At a 45% rate, I mean, that's the bulk of his offense. He can really get going from there. He's proven that when he's put in those situations that he can knock down close to 40% of those shots. 3-point, pull-up 3-point shots, that constant threat that you had out of Kemba Walker, that's going to go a long way because now opposing defenses aren't as scared of someone like Marcus Smart bringing up the ball, or maybe someone like Jeff Teague bringing up the ball as opposed to Kemba Walker. So you have to switch things up a bit. Brad Stevens has a lot to do with this in terms of how he's going to be able to produce, or at least come close to the 112 points that you were able to average throughout the course of last season.
The only good thing I'm seeing here is we did see, although they had shortcomings in the Eastern Conference Finals, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum put up career numbers in the postseason. Jason Tatum, I think he was the first player to put up like 25, 10, or in whatever number he had with assists, or 25, 9, and 9. He was probably like the first Celtic to do that. So there were improvements there. So I think building the offense around them, that seems to the way to go. But yeah, back to what we're talking about, those two guys need shooters to surround them because they're both good at getting to the basket. They've both improved their mid-range games tremendously over the past couple of seasons. So those two guys, we're not worried about them. The only thing we're worried about Tatum is can he just is he mentally strong? Because we saw these games where he doesn't score for a whole half, and
Right.
it's out
Yeah,
of the
late game execution. I like to put
That
it.
too.
Yeah, he certainly had his struggles throughout the postseason, and I think it was a great learning curve for him. So of course, I'm with you. I'm not worried about Jason Tatum. I'm not necessarily worried about Jaylen Brown. I think my concerns when we're talking about those two is how are they going to perform as a cohesive unit? Can Jaylen Brown be a championship number 2? Because let's face it, that's what we're realistically talking about. Even if Kemba comes back, I mean, stem cell, that injection, this is supposed to numb the pain, so to speak. This isn't going to heal anything here, okay? So let's not kid ourselves and think that Kevin's going to come back 100%. I don't think that's not a possibility this season, that Kemba comes back 100%. If you get a version of what you saw throughout the postseason last year, I think you're in good shape when you think about the ascension, again, of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But those two have to prove it. Those two haven't been in that situation before. Jason Tatum hasn't gone into a season as the, no question number 1 option.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown has never even been considered as a, no question number 2 option heading into a season. So, yeah, again, if you look at the way things are for the Celtics, are they a championship team right now? No, I can't say that right now with confidence. But these two can really change that narrative halfway through the season, or at least before Kemba. Wow. See what you did, Mukala? This is your fault. This is your fault.
I'm telling you, it's like looking in the mirror. It's really like looking in the mirror. It's like
I haven't made that mistake in a while. Okay. Kemba Walker, whether his return, put it this way, Brad Stevens has to go into the season and has to keep preaching to his guys that, look, let's go into this thinking Kemba's out for the year. I mean, that has to be your approach, because when he comes back, you can't be leaning on someone like that, not sure where he is health-wise, and then comes, postseason, whether it's he comes back in February or late January, if he's not who you need him to be come the postseason, these guys have to be ready. So I think that has to be the approach heading into it. Go into this season trying to get as much help as you can from that second unit, and not necessarily praying for Kemba's eventual return.
With the luck that this team has, that this team has had the past 3 seasons, I wouldn't be surprised if right before the season they announced that Kemba's going to be out for the season. This would not surprise me at all if something like that happened.
Like the talk around, January, yeah, that's for reevaluation. That doesn't necessarily mean he will be hitting the court. And even if all things, if things pan out well and he's feeling, significantly better, I still think he'll be a couple of weeks away. I think probably the first week of February, maybe the last week of January will be the absolute earliest. But we're talking about minutes restriction. We're talking about, this is a gradual process, as it should be. Again, postseason hopes, that's what the Celtics are targeting. And whether they enter the postseason as a 4th seed or a top-notch team that they were last season, whether that means home court advantage or not, I mean, they can't even think about that at this point. They have to just take it one step at a time here and hope that this team can get the most out of, the Brad Stevens can get the most out of this team without Kemba.
Brad Stevens, too, he has a lot to prove as a head coach, because now, it's kind of starting to, how Boston is. It's kind of starting
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's starting to, they're kind of running out of patience with him, his coaching style, and not being able to get these guys over that hump. And he has a lot to prove as a coach, too, because you could say he got out-coached in 2 rounds, in the second and in the Eastern Conference Finals in the postseason. So he has a lot to prove as a coach, too, especially with this unit.
Yeah, no question. This is a challenge that I think Brad Stevens could tackle and be successful. It's just a matter of how successful will he be. And I don't think this is going to be a team that ultimately implodes and you see them struggling to fight for a playoff spot, at least not initially, of course, barring any other major injuries. Yeah. But I think this is an opportunity for Brad Stevens to get the most from, I like to say, the underdogs, the Tristan Thompsons and the Jeff Teagues of the NBA. These are kind of the guys that he really gets a lot out of, where people have not necessarily written them off, but they're sort of saying like, maybe there's something big there, maybe not, and I think Brad Stevens is the kind of coach that can get more out of those guys that have been, trying to maybe not necessarily latch on to a top tier team, but be productive enough to put their names and be on a Game 7 Eastern Conference Final platform. I think that's sort of the ultimate goal here, and they know that this is a great opportunity for them to do that.
Yeah, and I think with this team, this team might have a little of the 2017 team, where it's just a bunch of guys that that have been doubted, that feel like they all have something to prove. And I think for all these guys coming in, I believe they all have something to prove. Tristan Thompson, I feel like he has something to prove. Jeff Teague, I feel like he has something to prove just because of the year he had in Minnesota. So I think with this collective group, it might be the type of team that he can coach and try to get the most out of.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that second unit, it gets thinner, right? And you have 2 first-round draft picks that at least one of those guys is going to get a significant uptick in minutes. The returning rookies, where do they fold here? I mean, where do they come and play here? Grant Williams, Robert Williams. Robert Williams says he's ready to make the leap. He's already determined to make the significant leap. And now that Tristan Thompson is going to, ease his way back in, he misses a significant amount of training camp. So he may not be, playing over 25 minutes a night. Great opportunity for Robert Williams to come in here, And I think these are the sort of players that, yeah, they're third, 4-year guys or second-year guys, but it's different when you consider what they went through in the bubble and that kind of experience and being around each other for such a long time and being 2 wins away from reaching the NBA Finals. I think there's significance in that for sure.
Yeah. And lastly, before we got out of here, I know I brought him up earlier, but, just quickly on what do you make of this whole Kyrie Irving deciding to put out statements instead of talking to the media, instead of going up there? What do you make of this?
Oh, man. I guess the best way I can put it is this is maybe Kyrie's best way of avoiding a PR nightmare. I mean, emotions are high, after a game. In this sort of situation where, let's face it, Durant, Irving, they handpick their head coach and Steve Nash. I love Steve Nash. Who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
But how's it going to work out? We can talk for hours about all that and get into the X's and O's and all that. But let's face it, there's going to be downtimes. There are going to be ups and downs. And I think this is his way of avoiding those sort of, what we saw in Boston, him going off and those tirades and those speeches and the ones that left me up past midnight transcribing for, I'm not kidding you, Mukala, 200-word transcribes from Kyrie Irving. Like, maybe he's avoiding that. Maybe that's what this is. And maybe the Brooklyn Nets are thinking to themselves, this isn't a terrible idea. You can put yourself out there and let's see how the NBA reacts. But realistically, let's see how long this thing goes, because can a player not talk to the media for an entire course of a regular season? I don't know. If so, Kyrie would be the one guy to prove it. He would be like the one that the name will live on as like, the Kyrie rule. Maybe 5 years from now, someone like Zion or whoever will be like, you know what, I'm gonna plead the Kyrie. I'm good. I can't talk to you guys all year now.
This is going exactly how many people expected it to go with Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn.
And the year hasn't even started yet.
It hasn't started yet. This has been going on even earlier on in the spring. And he could write the statements. He could try to avoid the media, but the media, it's the stuff he says. It's not like the media makes up the things that he says. These are his words, the things he says. So they're not misconstruing his words. They're not misinterpreting his words. This is what you said. You said anybody can coach this team. You said we need more.
Let me tell you something, Mukala. You can get yourself really dizzy if you really try to
I know.
to understand what Kyrie's saying. Like, man, you'll start. It's tough. It's tough to digest. Trust me. Those 2 years in Boston, man, they were something.
Well, I mean, there's no better place for him to put up his nonsense than in New York City, because they love headlines. So
good luck, Durant. That's all I gotta say. Kevin Durant got a hand. He's got his hands full for sure.
And I imagine if they get James Harden too in that, oh my goodness, woo, man. I think
he's the one trying to avoid that. He's just like, no, guys, let's not do that. I think he might be the only one that's not in on that.
Yeah, man, we'll see. All right, let them know. Let them know where they can reach your stuff with your social media, plug all that good stuff in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Check out my writing, of course, on Facebook, guys. Please follow Heavy on Celtics for all of our articles and updates. And follow me on Twitter at Joe_Sway. Like you said, man, right around the corner, we got preseason basketball, a lot of content, plenty of talk. CLNS Media, Celtics CLNS Media, of course, you can find me. The Garden Report every Wednesday. We're going live now, Mukala. Wednesday nights at 8, so you can check us out. Subscribe for the notifications, so whenever we go live, man, you'll get the heads up. So check us out, guys.
Y'all getting that money. Y'all going live. Y'all got, jeez Louise, man.
It's a new day. It's a new day,
live.
man.
We go live.
2020.
Yeah. Hey, man, we made it. Well, we almost made it through the year. So, man, thanks once again for coming on. I always appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
You guys been watching the Plus One interview. Have a great day. We are back. We're not gonna go around the world of sports this week just because I'm tired. I'm tired. So we're gonna go to the top 10 plays, and then we're gonna come back and I'll give you game picks, and I'll let you know how we did the past couple weeks. And we are back. Okay, it's time. All right, so I told you I didn't give you all the tally up for the game picks from a couple weeks ago. So from week 12, Todd and Craig went 11-5. I went 7-6. Yeah, it was a good week for me. Now, week 13, Todd went 10-5. I went 11-4. There weren't that many upsets besides 2. And pretty much it. That was pretty much it.
The football gods, they know something now.
Yeah, quickly, just some news that I'm seeing here. So another NFL player has been suspended for PEDs, and that's AJ Bowie from the Denver Broncos, suspended for PEDs, like 6 games. Man, yeah, these guys here. Yeah.
I don't know many Broncos players, so.
He's defensive back.
Okay.
But whatever. All right, so game picks for week number 14. Man, NFL season has been flying by. And Thursday Night Football, it is the Patriots versus the Rams in California. The Patriots pretty much stayed out in Cali for the week. So, Pats, Rams, y'all know the routine here. We don't pick against the Pats. So, we clearly have the Pats. Jeez Louise. Texans versus the Bears.
I'm going to go with the Bears.
I'm going to go with the Texans just because Mitchell Trubisky's the Bears quarterback. Cowboys, Bengals, jeez.
Who's on the quarterback for the Bengals now?
Bruce Allen, I think that's his name.
I'm going to go with the Bengals.
You know what? I'll go with the Bengals too, just because. Just because. Chiefs and Dolphins, man.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs too. Did you see the Tyreek Hill catch that he thought he didn't catch it, and it turned out he did catch it, but he was just like, I didn't know I caught it?
Yeah, But they tend to play down to their competition. That's why that game might be a tricky one.
Yeah, it might be. And the Dolphins' defense is really good. So, yeah, watch out for that game. It might be an upset, but we got the Chiefs because they want that number 1 seed.
Yeah, they do.
Cardinals, Giants. The Cardinals need a win bad. And the Giants are playing really good. The Cardinals are flying east. And it's cold.
I'm going to the Giants, man.
You going with the G-Man?
Yeah, I'm going with the G-Man McCoy, bro.
I agree. I'm going with the G-Man. Vikings, Bucks.
Vikings.
You got the Vikings? My head is telling me to pick the Vikings, but let me just pick the Bucks since they're coming off a bye week. Broncos, Panthers. Toilet bowl here.
Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know what they're doing in Denver. Titans, Jaguars.
Oh, Titans.
You got the Titans?
Yeah.
Jaguars with the upset. Colts, Raiders. This one's going to be a good one.
Raiders.
You got the Raiders. I have the Colts. Jets and Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah, Seattle. Packers, Lions.
Packers.
Yeah, but Packers. Saints, Eagles. Jalen Hurts first start. Good luck, my man. This is in Philly.
The Eagles.
You got the Eagles. I'm going with the Saints just because their defense has been balling out.
Something special.
Oh, something special might happen to him. One of the two. Falcons, Chargers.
Chargers.
I'm going to go with the Falcons. Washington and 49ers.
49ers.
On 49ers. I'm going to go with Washington. They've been on a roll. Game of the primetime game. This might be the game of the week. Bills, Steelers.
Bills.
You going with the Bills? I will go with the Bills as well because the Steelers have kind of been trending downward. And then to close off Week 14, AFC North matchup between the Ravens and the Browns in Cleveland.
Browns.
You going with the Brownies? Yeah. I will go with Lamar Jackson. And with that, that's our picks. We are done. We are out of here. Oh, before we get out of here, one more quick video. This is from yesterday's rally. David White, Antonio Anderson, and Lynn Jets hockey coach Joe Gunning, just their thoughts on the city of Lynn canceling not allowing winter sports to happen for the Lynn Public Schools. So here's quick thoughts from them and we'll be right back.
I think that's also ridiculous. They're going to be playing in the Lynn rink and Lynn can't play. Everybody else can play in the Lynn rink, but Lynn can't. And the athletic directors had different conversations with Northeastern Conference teams that they will play on the road if they wanted. I just think that it's depriving these student athletes of their due.
You got to think some of these kids are seniors, man. They'll never get this opportunity again. No senior day, things like that. Those are things that some kids live for the rest of their life. There's some kids who have college opportunities and won't be able to even get those opportunities just for the simple fact that there's no sports. So there's a lot of things that come into place here, man. It's just sad that these people that are inside the city hall refuse to speak to us coaches, to these kids, and kind of just give us a little justification on why they chose that. Besides of saying the numbers are high, we know the numbers are high, man. But at the same time, they're high in other cities who are still participating.
Honestly, it's hard because we haven't been in the gym since March. We haven't been able to get in our gym since March. So I had a really, really good freshman class, and obviously it hurts big time for those seniors, but it also stunts the development for the young guys. You're taking a whole season away as sophomores when they would have a lot of experience at the varsity level. So now what does that look like for them next year and the year after? So you're taking a whole season away. It does stunt their development.
I want to thank those three for that. All right, we up. I can't talk. We're up out of here. Mr. Burton 23 Instagram, Mukala K Instagram, LCTV After the Whistle Instagram, Lynn Community Television Facebook, lyntv.org. Go over there, watch the video from yesterday's rally. Let them kids play. They want to play. No reason why every other city around us is participating in winter sports and we're not. So yeah, this is important. So let's get that together and have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.